More city streets are being closed to cars, and more people are getting bike lanes for people to use during the pandemic. But there's a lot of concern among drivers and commuters about what the impact will be from those changes on city traffic. CBS 2's Jenna DeAngelis went straight to the DOT commissioner to ask.
So I actually only really started cycling once the pandemic hit.
Since his gym is closed, bike riding is now how Mike Tirrell gets his exercise.
I definitely will continue this trend.
Happy to hear the city is adding 9 more miles of temporary protected bike lanes, like here on Broadway in Lower Manhattan, along with 12 more miles of open streets so pedestrians and cyclists have more space. The goal, 100 miles of open streets. But not so fast, says Joe Hauser, who has to drive around the city for work.
Right now it's much easier because there's barely anybody around. But if they're adding more bike lanes and then things go back to normal again, I think the traffic's just going to be much more worse.
Mayor de Blasio discussed the expansion of bike lanes in a briefing Wednesday.
Many New Yorkers are choosing to use bicycles to get around more than ever. City Bike monthly data shows ridership is actually down roughly 20% this March compared to last March. April down about 60% in 2020. We went to DOT Commissioner Polly Trottenberg.
Before the big lockdown, we saw bike ridership really spike up. As the pause came into place and a lot of people were, sort of staying home, we saw those numbers go down, but the drop hasn't been anywhere near what we've seen in terms of mass transit drop.
Is this emergency going to be a catalyst for closing off more streets in favor of bikes over cars for the future?
I think certainly what we're seeing in other cities in China and Europe that are coming out of the epidemic is there is a lag before people want to get back into mass transit, and people are turning more to walking and biking.
Advocacy group Transportation Alternatives on board with open streets, worried about the future.
Our biggest concern is actually that we're going to see a flood of cars and traffic in New York. And as people step away from public transit, they're going to increasingly rely on cars.
So what does the future of transportation look like? Trottenberg says these temporary bike lanes put in place with cones and signs would have to go through council to become permanent. Same for open streets.
I'm sure some of them will stay, and some of them maybe will go back to the way things were before the virus.
The DOT commissioner says today was the first meeting for the city's Surface Transportation Advisory Council, a group of transportation experts and advocates working together to figure out how to move forward and get people around the city safely. In Park Slope, Brooklyn, Jenna DeAngelis, CBS 2 News.